Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hello and welcome to Pathways, a show dedicated to global spiritual awakening. Our topic of discussion today is the Mahabharata, ancient text from India, and we'd like to start with some questions for you, Sarva-drk. What are some of the major themes we find in Mahabharata?
Mahabharata is one of the world's oldest scriptures. We have a copy right here, actually. As you can see, it's a very large book, several, maybe 1,000 pages, actually, in small print. And some of the major themes of this wonderful book are chastity, devotion to God, freedom from intoxicating habits, gambling. There's so many things. And it's woven around a story, an intricate story of 5 brothers called the Pandavas and Lord Krishna. And what was the Pandavas' relationship with Lord Krishna, how they worked with each other, how they overcame obstacles in their life, how they fought a great war and came out victorious in spite of all obstacles. It's a wonderful story that encapsulates all the conclusions of the Vedas. The Vedas are known as Vedanta, or the end conclusion of all knowledge. Veda means knowledge, and Anta means the end. So Vedanta means the end of all knowledge, but they're typically very high philosophical ideas that the common men find difficult to grasp. So this Mahabharata encapsulates and presents those same ideas in a simple story form that people from any walk of life can easily understand and apply in their life.
So this is a historical account.
Yes, it's a history. Mahabharata also means the history of Bharat, or India. The original name of India is Bharat. We call it India today, but in ancient times it was known as Bharat. Is that right?
Yes, Mahabharata, Mahabharata, greater Mahabharata.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a history of India, really.
Right. See, I also have one inquisitiveness, that I've been born and raised in India. I have heard about Mahabharata for many years, but some of these academic and scholarly people, they say this is a mythology,
Mm-hmm.
It has never happened before. There was no Krishna, no Pandavas. How do you relate that? Have you ever heard anything?
People say that. Even sometimes I meet Indian people.
Yeah.
Think, well, this is mythology, because they can't grasp some of the concepts and historical occurrences in Mahabharata. But it's something like our spiritual master, his picture is here, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami. A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada came to America in 1965 on the order of his spiritual master to present this ancient wisdom to the Western world, actually, not just to America. He gave a nice example. He says it's like a frog sitting in a well. Now, a well is in a huge expanse of water. It's a little pond of water. And he's sitting in his well, and his brother frog comes and says, "I've seen the ocean." And the frog in the well goes, "Really? Well, what's the ocean like?" "It's huge. It's really big." "Well, is it twice as big as my well?" No, it's much bigger than that. 10 times? 1,000 times? In other words, he's trying to understand. The frog sitting in his little puddle is trying to understand what is the expansive nature of the ocean by comparing it to what he can understand in his experience. Now, when I was a child, I remember sitting on the living room floor reading the comics. And I liked Dick Tracy. I'm sort of dating myself now. I don't think they publish Dick Tracy anymore. But Dick Tracy had a wrist radio. And he could talk into his wrist radio, and he could call in the good guys and help bust the bad guys, and he was a good guy. And he had this wrist radio that was unheard of then. People at best had a landline, and a cell phone was unheard of.
It was fiction at that time.
It was complete fiction.
Yes.
But what we considered fiction, what was mythology then, is complete reality now. So the concepts we find in Mahabharata, although we may not understand them relative to what we know and understand in our current historical and cultural milieu, is perfectly understandable in a previous culture and previous historical perspective.
So there is a place actually exists in India right now, that episode has taken a place.
Absolutely.
Name Kurukshetra.
Kurukshetra. That's right. In Uttar
northern
Pradesh.
part, Uttar Pradesh, northern part
the
of
state
India.
Of Uttar Pradesh.
There are people still go for the pilgrimage there.
Yes.
Have you ever been there?
Place. I haven't had the opportunity. I've been to many different other places. Of course, India is full of. It's hard to touch them all, But hopefully, I'll also go to Kurukshetra one day.
What are some of the benefits we can derive from the stories and the historical accounts in the Mahabharata?
Do you want to answer that, Thakur Bhai?
Yeah, see, although it has taken place historical long time back, but the main character of Mahabharata was, the Lord Sri Krishna.
Yes.
He is the main character explaining at that time, taken a role of actually when I studied the Bhagavad Gita, he was addressed as a Bhagwan, literally means God. And he is explaining what is this material world is all about, what is the soul is all about, and transmigration of the soul. Even he has explained the economy, how the economy was also maintained at that time. So on social welfare program also, everything, all the issues now the world is facing now, at that time Lord Krishna has explained, during this Mahabharata, just making Arjuna a kind of instrument for benefit for all of us at the time.
Yes, there's some good themes in Mahabharata also. It's like we can talk about chastity even. The king who assumed the throne, his name was Dhritarashtra. He was born blind. Yet still he was a very powerful individual. His blindness didn't really hinder him in his everyday life. He was that powerful. But his wife, Gandhari, had sight. So to be chaste and not to think, I'm better off than my husband, she also put a blindfold and spent her life blindfolded so she wouldn't think I'm better than my husband. Or also there's a section in Mahabharata that describes how the Pandavas, the 5 brothers, who were great rulers, great powerful individuals, who owned vast tracts of land. And actually Yudhishthira was, practically speaking, the emperor of most of the world at that time. I had an opportunity to visit some temples in Indonesia. Indonesia today is a Muslim country. When you go back there, and they're Hindu temples, archaeological digs, that were under the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira at that time, 5,000 years ago. So Maharaj Yudhishthira was a great powerful king. He had vast tracts of land, but he lost everything to gambling. He was addicted to this shaking the dice, and I'm going to get a little bit more. And he couldn't resist the challenge from an opposing king to play dice. And he lost his kingdom, he lost his treasury, he even gambled away his own brothers, and he gambled away his wife, Draupadi. He lost everything to gambling. So this is a message to human society in a simple form: avoid gambling. Be chaste, avoid intoxication. There's also a section in Mahabharata where the family members of Lord Krishna, the Yadavas, also incredibly powerful personalities in their own right, became completely intoxicated, drinking rice wine, and they slaughtered each other. They killed each other. They got in this fratricidal war, and they killed each other because of intoxication. And we see that in today's society also. People get drunk, and they wreck their car, they lose their money. It's not cheap. They get in fights, they land in jail. From what? From trying to find happiness outside of our relationship with God, whether it's with intoxication, or with gambling, or being unchaste. There's no other happiness, really, outside of our relationship with God. Everybody has a God-shaped hole in our heart, and you can't fill it with a bottle, you can't fill it with a joint. We fill it with a relationship with God. Now, whether you call God Krishna, or Yahweh, or Elohim, or Jehovah, or Allah, the name you give isn't really important. We have to fill that hole in our heart with a relationship with God. Then we're satisfied internally, and we can resist these temptations that really destroy our life.
See, excuse me. Okay, go ahead. Unfortunately, what happened, we always know the phase that there is always 2 sides of the coin. In this modern age, they want to enjoy the way you're saying, the intoxication and gambling and everything. So they are saying that if they did it this time, why can't we do this time? So now we are explaining that what was the result of what yes. they did before.
Yeah, and we see the result in people's lives also.